stop for just one moment, because what you are about to hear may completely change the way you see love, heartbreak, and the person you call your soulmate. What if I told you that your soulmate is letting go of the love you share? Not because they never loved you, not because destiny has failed you, but because something far deeper is unfolding beneath the surface. What if the distance that keeps you awake at night is not the end of your story, but the beginning of the most important chapter of your life? Most people spend years chasing answers, blaming themselves, or desperately trying to hold on to someone who seems to be slipping away. They believe that if love is real, it should never change. But what if that belief is the very thing keeping them trapped in pain? The truth is, the greatest heartbreaks often hide the greatest awakenings. Sometimes the person who walks away becomes the mirror that reveals everything you were meant to discover about yourself. Every unanswered message, every moment of silence, every tear, and every sleepless night carries a lesson that most people never stop long enough to understand. So before you convince yourself that you've lost the love of your life, before you allow fear to write the ending of your story, stay with me until the very end. Because what you're about to discover may not only change the way you see your soulmate, it may forever change the way you see yourself. The most painful moments in love rarely begin when two people stop speaking. They begin much earlier, in the quiet moments when one heart senses that something invisible has changed. Perhaps the conversations become shorter. The warmth once felt in every glance slowly fades into distance. Your instinct tells you that the connection is slipping away. Yet your mind desperately searches for explanations that make the discomfort disappear. This emotional detachment can feel like the loss of a part of yourself, especially when you believe this person was your soulmate. Yet beneath that pain lies a hidden invitation that few people recognize. Emotional distance is often less about punishment and more about awakening. When someone begins letting go of the love you share, the immediate reaction is usually fear. Fear whispers that you are no longer enough, that you have failed, or that something precious has been stolen from you forever. But fear has a remarkable ability to distort reality. It magnifies loss while hiding opportunity. The discomfort you experience is not simply caused by another person's changing emotions. It is also revealing everything within you that has been waiting to be acknowledged for years. Love has a mysterious way of exposing what everyday life keeps hidden. While everything feels secure, many emotional wounds remain buried beneath routines, distractions, and comforting habits. The possibility of losing someone suddenly tears away those protective layers. Old fears of rejection, abandonment, loneliness, and unworthiness emerge with surprising intensity. It feels as though the relationship created these wounds, when in truth it merely uncovered what had already been living quietly beneath the surface. This is why emotional detachment can become one of the greatest catalysts for personal transformation. The pain forces you to ask questions you would never have considered while everything seemed perfect. Why does this loss feel like the end of your identity? Why does another person's choice seem to determine your sense of worth? Why does silence create so much panic within your own mind? These questions are uncomfortable, but they guide you toward a deeper understanding of yourself. Many people respond by chasing harder, hoping that more effort will restore what is fading. Yet constant pursuit often becomes an attempt to escape inner pain rather than an expression of genuine love. Instead of turning inward, they focus entirely on changing another person's mind. In doing so, they unknowingly postpone the very healing their soul is asking them to begin. Real transformation starts when you stop treating emotional pain as an enemy and begin seeing it as a messenger. Every difficult emotion carries information. Jealousy may reveal insecurity. Desperation may uncover dependence. Anger may conceal grief. Loneliness may expose the relationship you have neglected with yourself. None of these discoveries are comfortable, but each one offers an opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and more emotionally grounded. Ironically, the moment someone appears to be letting go may become the very moment you begin finding yourself. As you release the desperate need to control another person's heart, you gradually reconnect with your own. Confidence grows from self-understanding rather than reassurance. Peace begins replacing panic. Whether your paths eventually reunite or permanently separate becomes less important than the person you are becoming. In that transformation, you discover that the deepest purpose of love was never only to keep two people together. It was also to awaken the hidden strength that could only emerge when everything familiar seemed to be slipping away. One of the greatest misunderstandings about love is the belief that holding on tightly is proof of how deeply you care. Many people spend years believing that if they cannot stop thinking about someone, if they fear losing them every day, or if they feel incomplete without that person's presence, then what they are experiencing must be true love. Yet these intense emotions often arise from attachment rather than love itself. Although they can feel almost identical in the beginning, they lead the heart in completely different directions. Attachment is driven by fear. It fears abandonment, rejection, loneliness, and uncertainty. It constantly asks, will they stay? Do they still love me? What if they find someone else? These questions become endless because attachment seeks security from another person instead of finding stability within. The relationship slowly transforms into an emotional lifeline where happiness depends almost entirely on someone else's choices, moods, and attention. When that attention begins to fade, panic quickly replaces peace. Love, however, grows from a different place. It does not seek to imprison another soul or demand constant reassurance. Genuine love appreciates another person's existence without trying to control every decision they make. It allows closeness while respecting individuality. Instead of saying, I cannot survive without you, it quietly says, my life is richer because you are here, but my identity does not disappear if circumstances change. This kind of love creates emotional freedom rather than emotional dependence. When your soulmate appears to be letting go of the love you share, attachment immediately interprets the situation as a personal failure. It begins creating painful stories inside the mind. Perhaps you were not attractive enough. Perhaps you said the wrong thing. Perhaps someone else has replaced you. These assumptions grow stronger because attachment desperately searches for explanations that justify its fear. The mind becomes trapped in endless overthinking, replaying memories, analyzing conversations, and imagining different outcomes that can no longer be changed. True love responds differently. While it certainly feels sadness and disappointment, it does not lose its dignity. It recognizes that another person's emotional journey cannot always be controlled or predicted. Sometimes people grow in unexpected directions. Sometimes unresolved struggles pull them away. Sometimes life itself creates distance that neither person intended. Love accepts these realities without surrendering its compassion or self-respect. This distinction becomes especially important during heartbreak. If you believe attachment is love, you may spend months or even years chasing someone who has already emotionally left the relationship. Every rejection becomes another invitation to try harder. Every silence becomes another puzzle to solve. In reality, the chase often deepens the wound because it reinforces the belief that your worth depends on winning someone back. Paradoxically, letting go of attachment does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop measuring your value by another person's ability to remain beside you. You begin separating your identity from the relationship. You rediscover interests, dreams, friendships, and inner strengths that existed long before this connection entered your life. As emotional dependence weakens, genuine love becomes clearer because it is no longer clouded by fear. The greatest lesson hidden within a soulmate connection is that love reaches its highest form when it is freely chosen rather than desperately held. The moment you release the need to possess another person's heart, you create space for something far more powerful than attachment. A love rooted in respect, emotional maturity, and inner wholeness that remains authentic regardless of the outcome. Few experiences reveal your inner world as powerfully as a soulmate connection. At first, it seems as though the relationship is entirely about the other person, their words, their affection, their attention, or their absence. But as the connection deepens, something unexpected begins to happen. Emotions emerge that feel far greater than the events that triggered them. A delayed message creates overwhelming anxiety. A simple misunderstanding awakens deep sadness. The possibility of losing the relationship feels like losing a part of yourself. These reactions suggest that the relationship is touching places within you that existed long before the two of you ever met. Every meaningful relationship acts like a mirror, reflecting not only your strengths but also the parts of yourself you rarely acknowledge. When everything is going well, the mirror reflects your capacity for joy, trust, generosity, and hope. But when distance appears or conflict arises, the reflection changes. Hidden fears, insecurities, and emotional wounds begin to surface. What you see in the relationship is often an invitation to understand yourself more deeply, rather than simply judging the other person's actions. Many people believe their soulmate is causing all of their pain. While another person's choices can certainly hurt, the intensity of that pain is often connected to older emotional patterns. If you constantly fear being abandoned, the relationship may be revealing an old wound that has quietly shaped your life for years. If you feel that you must earn love by sacrificing your own needs, the connection may be exposing a belief that your worth depends on pleasing others. If jealousy becomes overwhelming, it may point toward a lack of confidence that existed long before this relationship began. This is why soulmate connections often feel so transformative. They do not simply offer companionship, they uncover truths that ordinary relationships may never reveal. The person standing before you becomes a reflection of your inner landscape. Their presence illuminates what is healthy within you, while their distance exposes what still needs healing. This process can feel uncomfortable because it challenges the image you have built of yourself. It asks you to look beyond appearances and confront emotions you may have spent years avoiding. The temptation is to focus entirely on changing the other person. You may believe that if they become more affectionate, more attentive, or more committed, all of your suffering will disappear. Yet, even if the relationship improves, unresolved inner wounds often remain hidden, waiting for another difficult moment to bring them back to the surface. Lasting peace cannot come from controlling someone else's behavior. It grows from understanding the emotions their behavior awakens within you. This realization changes the purpose of the relationship. Instead of asking, "Why are they doing this to me?" you begin asking, "What is this experience revealing about me?" That single shift transforms pain into self-discovery. You become curious rather than consumed. Instead of resisting uncomfortable emotions, you learn to observe them with honesty and patience. Each fear becomes a clue. Each disappointment becomes an opportunity to recognize beliefs that no longer serve you. Ironically, the soulmate you believed was meant only to love you may also be the person who introduces you to the parts of yourself you have never fully understood. Whether they remain beside you or choose another path, the mirror they held before your soul has already fulfilled a profound purpose. It has shown you that the greatest journey was never only toward another heart, but toward a deeper understanding of your own, where healing begins with the courage to see yourself clearly and to embrace every hidden part with compassion instead of fear. When someone begins letting go of the love you share, the mind often reaches one painful conclusion: it is over forever. Every unanswered message, every quiet moment, and every emotional distance feels like undeniable proof that the story has ended. The heart naturally resists uncertainty, so it rushes to create certainty, even if that certainty is painful. Yet, life rarely unfolds in such simple, final ways. Emotional distance does not always mean love has disappeared. Sometimes it marks the beginning of a transformation that neither person fully understands while they are living through it. People often imagine that love should move in a straight line, growing stronger every day without interruption. In reality, meaningful relationships move through seasons. There are moments of closeness, moments of confusion, periods of growth, and times when both individuals must face personal struggles that cannot be solved together. Just as nature has winters that prepare the ground for future growth, relationships sometimes enter seasons of silence that appear lifeless on the surface, while something important is changing underneath. One of the greatest mistakes people make during emotional separation is believing they must immediately repair everything. They chase answers, demand reassurance, or desperately try to recreate the connection exactly as it once was. But the relationship that existed before may no longer be the one either soul truly needs. If old fears, unhealthy habits, or emotional dependence remain unchanged, restoring the past often means repeating the same cycle that created the distance in the first place. Sometimes two people must let go of who they were before they can ever discover who they are capable of becoming. This does not guarantee they will reunite, but it does reveal that separation can serve a purpose beyond simple loss. Distance allows both individuals to confront parts of themselves that constant closeness may have hidden. One person may learn independence after years of relying too heavily on the relationship. The other may discover emotional honesty after avoiding difficult conversations for too long. Growth often requires solitude because silence has a way of exposing truths that noise keeps buried. This period can feel incredibly unfair because transformation rarely provides immediate rewards. There are days filled with doubt, loneliness, and unanswered questions.
You may wonder whether your soulmate has forgotten you completely, or whether every shared memory has lost its meaning.
Yet not every quiet heart has stopped caring. Sometimes people withdraw because they are overwhelmed by emotions they do not know how to express. Others step away because they recognize they cannot continue the relationship in its current form. Their silence may reflect confusion rather than indifference. At the same time, it is important not to confuse hope with certainty. Believing that every separation guarantees reunion can keep someone trapped in endless waiting. Emotional maturity accepts both possibilities with equal honesty. The connection may find its way back after both people have grown, or it may remain a meaningful chapter that prepared each person for a different future. The value of the experience does not depend solely on whether the relationship is restored. The deepest lesson hidden within emotional distance is not learning how to hold on at all costs, but learning how to release expectations without losing your capacity to love. When you stop trying to force the future into the shape you desire, you create room for life to unfold naturally. Whether your paths cross again or continue separately, you emerge with greater wisdom, stronger emotional resilience, and a heart that understands love is not measured only by how long two people stay together, but by how profoundly the journey transforms the souls who shared it. One of the greatest challenges a soulmate connection presents is the temptation to seek your worth through another person's eyes. When love is flowing freely, it feels natural to believe that their affection confirms your value. Their messages brighten your day, their attention makes you feel seen, and their presence creates a sense of emotional security. But when they begin pulling away or letting go of the love you share, that same source of comfort can suddenly become the source of your deepest insecurity. You may find yourself questioning everything about who you are, believing that if they no longer choose you, then perhaps you were never enough to begin with. Yet this painful conclusion is built upon a dangerous misunderstanding. Your value has never depended on another person's ability to recognize it. The mistake lies in allowing someone else's choices to become the measure of your identity. When your happiness rises and falls with another person's attention, you unknowingly hand them the power to define how you feel about yourself. Every delayed reply becomes a reason to doubt your importance. Every moment of distance feels like evidence that something is wrong with you. Over time, your emotional world becomes controlled by circumstances you cannot truly influence. This is where the journey toward inner wholeness begins. Instead of asking, "How can I make them love me?" Again, a different question slowly emerges. Who am I when no one is validating me? That question can feel uncomfortable because it removes every external source of reassurance. It invites you to stand alone with yourself without relying on another person's approval to feel complete. At first, this silence may seem empty, but within that emptiness lies the opportunity to discover a strength that has always existed beneath your fears. Many people believe that becoming whole means becoming emotionally detached or never needing anyone again. That is not true. Human beings naturally long for connection, affection, and companionship. Inner wholeness does not eliminate that desire. It changes the foundation beneath it. Instead of seeking love because you feel incomplete, you begin offering love from a place of completeness. You no longer approach relationships hoping someone will fix your loneliness or heal every wound inside you. Instead, you invite another person to share a life that already has meaning and purpose. As this transformation unfolds, your behavior naturally changes. You stop chasing people who repeatedly walk away. You stop begging for affection that should be freely given. You become less interested in proving your worth because you have already begun recognizing it within yourself. Boundaries become clearer, self-respect becomes stronger, and your decisions are guided less by fear and more by wisdom. This does not mean heartbreak disappears, but it no longer destroys your sense of identity. Ironically, this inner stability often creates healthier relationships. When you are no longer desperate for constant reassurance, you communicate more honestly, listen more deeply, and allow love to develop without excessive control. You appreciate another person's presence without clinging to them out of fear. The relationship becomes a meeting of two individuals rather than an attempt by one person to complete the other. If your soulmate is letting go of the love you share, the greatest gift you can give yourself is not endless pursuit, but a return to your own center. Every moment spent rebuilding your confidence, honoring your values, and nurturing your inner life strengthens the foundation that no rejection can destroy. Whether this person eventually returns or continues on a different path, your peace no longer depends upon their decision. It grows from the quiet realization that your heart was never meant to borrow its worth from another soul. Because the deepest form of love begins when you recognize the unshakable value that has always lived within you. Every ending carries a quiet invitation that most people overlook because they are too focused on what has been lost. When your soulmate appears to be letting go of the love you share, your first instinct is often to preserve what is disappearing. You replay memories, search for hidden meanings in old conversations, and imagine countless ways the relationship could have been saved. The mind becomes trapped in the past, believing that happiness exists only in what once was. Yet every ending, no matter how painful, creates space for something new to emerge. That new beginning is not always another relationship. More often it is the birth of a stronger, wiser, and more authentic version of yourself. The greatest transformations rarely arrive during times of comfort. They emerge when life removes the very things you believed you could not live without. The absence of someone you deeply love forces you to face yourself without distractions. You begin noticing the dreams you postponed, the talents you neglected, the friendships you ignored, and the passions you abandoned while making another person the center of your emotional world. What once felt like an unbearable emptiness slowly becomes an open space where forgotten parts of your identity can return. Many people resist this process because they mistake endings for failure. They believe that if a relationship does not last forever, then all the love, effort, and memories were meaningless. But life does not measure success only by permanence. Some relationships are meant to accompany you through a particular chapter, teaching lessons that could never be learned alone. Their purpose is not diminished simply because they reach an ending. In many cases, the deepest wisdom is gained only after the relationship has changed or concluded. As time passes, you may begin recognizing qualities within yourself that hardship quietly developed. You become more patient because you have learned that healing cannot be rushed. You become more compassionate because you understand the weight of emotional pain. You become more discerning because experience has taught you to recognize unhealthy patterns before repeating them. These changes are not accidental. They are the result of walking through heartbreak instead of allowing heartbreak to define your entire identity. There is also a profound shift in how you understand love itself. Instead of believing love exists to rescue you from loneliness, you begin seeing it as an opportunity to grow alongside another human being. Instead of expecting another person to complete every missing piece within you, you realize that two whole individuals create a stronger connection than two people desperately trying to fill each other's emptiness. This change transforms not only future relationships, but also the relationship you have with yourself. Sometimes life closes one door because you have outgrown the person you once were. Holding on to the past too tightly can prevent you from stepping into opportunities that align with your present growth. New friendships, unexpected experiences, fresh purpose, and healthier forms of love often arrive only after you have released what no longer serves your journey. The ending that once appeared to be a punishment gradually reveals itself as preparation for a future you could not have imagined while clinging to the past. Whether your soulmate eventually returns or continues walking a different path, the transformation you experience remains yours forever. No one can take away the wisdom earned through honest reflection, the resilience built through difficult days, or the confidence discovered after surviving what once seemed impossible. The true gift hidden within every ending is not simply the possibility of another beginning, but the realization that your greatest destination was never only another person's heart. It was the unfolding of your own soul into someone capable of loving with greater depth, living with greater purpose, and embracing life with a quiet strength that no loss can ever diminish. As we reach the end of this journey, remember one powerful truth. If your soulmate is letting go of the love you share, it does not mean your story has lost its meaning. Sometimes love enters your life not only to bring happiness, but to awaken the parts of you that have been waiting to grow. What feels like rejection today may become the beginning of your greatest transformation tomorrow. Instead of allowing heartbreak to harden your heart, allow it to deepen your wisdom, strengthen your character, and reveal the quiet resilience that has always lived within you. Whether this connection returns in a healthier form or becomes a cherished chapter of your past, never lose sight of your own worth. The love you seek becomes most meaningful when it is shared by two people who have first learned to stand strong on their own. Thank you for spending these moments with me. If this message touched your heart, let it stay with you as you move forward. I wish you peace, healing, courage, and a future filled with genuine love and inner fulfillment. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for listening.